My name is Russell Clark Durden. I was born in Jeff Davis County, Georgia, lived in Coffee County, Georgia. I was born September 1931 and lived my life in Coffee County, Georgia. I was enlisted in the Army in January 1951, taking my basic training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. After our basic training, we went by rail to Seattle, Washington. From Seattle, Washington, went by rail to Vancouver, Canada. From Vancouver, Canada, flew by airline to Tokyo, Japan. After Tokyo, Japan indoctrination, we went by train down to Sasebo, Japan. We're taking a ship, one of Japan's luxury liners, they call it, over to Pusan, Korea. From Pusan, Korea, we got on a train that had 2 flat cars with machine guns, mortars, and artillery in front. And I joined my outfit. They were in a push. The 17th was in a push up on going back north. And at that time, I was assigned to the 17th Regiment, 2nd Battalion, Fox Company. I was assigned to be a 57 cordless rifle gunner. And we was on a push all the time. Captain Wiley McGarry was our company commander, and he was from Atlanta, Georgia, a real good fella. He was really looked after his company. And I know the first job I had when I was joined the outfit, they assigned me to guard the little bearers. And my squad leader told me, he said, now you guard those little bears. If they move, one of them try to leave out there, you shoot him. So I know when you're just a young soldier, you're going to do orders. But then we kept moving north all the time. I was with the outfit. And we pushed up above the 38th parallel. Then that's when they started those peace talks, and we take a hill, they take us back off. We take another hill, they take us back off, and all these things.
Okay.
When I joined my Fox company of the 2nd Battalion, we were on a push all the time when I first got there. We'd have mortar rounds coming in and machine gun fire, and I know anybody tell you they wasn't scared, they'd lie, because I knew everybody in my outfit was scared, but you had enough of courage. You had a job to do, and you had to do your job. You either kill or be killed. That's what they told me. And so we just kept our morale going of each other. We looked after each other. And my company and my platoon and squad, we all looked after each other. And we just kept pushing north all the time. And once we got our objectives taken, we would dig in for the night and set out the flares and set out your booby traps out front. Then the next morning you remove those if you're going to move out, because you didn't want your own men getting in your booby traps. And so when we move out, we take everything with us. And we go take another objective would be take another hill. That's all I can remember, just up in the hills all the time I was there. The day before I got hit at night, we were on a push. Now the 57 Cordless Rifle Squad had to give the attack squads support to knock out machine guns, and they was hollering for 57 to come forward to knock out the machine gun, and we had to cross the skyline. And when I got across the skyline, my assistant gunner and 3 of my ammo bearers got hit, and I didn't have any ammo. And so I had to drag my assistant gunner, and when the medic got there, the medic and the assistant gunner got hit, and they drug him on out of line of fire, and they still hollering 57 forward, 57 forward. So I didn't have any ammo, so I called the fellow named Myers. He was one of the ammo bearers. Told him to throw me some ammo across the hill, a couple of rounds. When he threw me a couple of rounds of ammo, we went on up and knocked out the machine gun nest. They'd taken the hill. Then that we resupplied ourselves back. We went back and got more ammo and resupplied ourselves, set up positions for that night. Then they hit us again about 2 o'clock in the morning when the whistle was blowing. But our mortar rounds with the flares and artillery flares and the spotlights off the clouds. You could see the Chinese are coming. And I know I was firing my carbine. That's what I had when all I was able to carry was a carbine with my 57 cordless rifle. And when they attacked, I know you could see them. I know we were shooting, and one was trying to get to me, and I was changing magazines, and he threw a grenade, and when it knocked my rifle. If it hadn't been for my rifle, I'd have been killed because it tore my rifle all to pieces. But the fellow next to me, he killed him and didn't let him get in the hole with us, you see. I mean, 'cause I was wounded pretty bad. I got a grenade all over, knocked out all my teeth and upside my head. But I'm gonna say that I asked the fellow next to me, I said, the rascal blew my darn head off. And he said, no, he didn't. You still talking. I remember that. But those Chinese, they come right on. They blow the whistle and come, and they finally stopped the attack sometime during the night. But I was wounded. I couldn't do any more. I know the rest of the fellows, they stopped them. And I know Captain McGarity, because I remember reading in the Stars and Stripes, he got Distinguished Service Cross that night for knocking them in the head with a dirty entrenching tool. That's how close they come to overrun us. But that's when I got hit and I was out of action. I got wounded about 2 o'clock, and we had so many fellows wounded back down the line. It was 10 o'clock the next day before they could move me back down the line. We couldn't get in the tanks the tanks up there, no jeeps up there. And South Korea and Little Bears carried me back down the mountain to the jeep, which could carry me back to the aid station. And I didn't. From there, they transferred me to a MASH hospital. That's where they operated on me. When I left the MASH hospital, I don't know how I got to the 141st General Hospital in Fukuoka, Japan, but I wound up in the 141st, and they went to work on me there, and that's when they done such a good job. And I couldn't eat. I got to tell you this: the little Japanese nurses, they called me baby son because they had to feed me baby food because I couldn't. My jaw broke and all my teeth knocked out. But they had this. This arm was broken. My right arm was broken 3 different places from a concussion, but from shrapnel, and had a cast on. They done that over at the MASH hospital. Those MASH hospitals, they done a good job, and and I got hit. I got shrapnel in my lungs and broke some ribs, and they had a cast around my body and a cast on this right arm, but it was so heavy they had to put a brace on it to hold it up so it wouldn't. I couldn't stand it to beat on my stomach because I got hit in the gut too, you see. But they kept working with me in the 141st General Hospital, and then when we left there, they flew me. We stopped one night in Hawaii, and we flew on. I wound up in Fort Benning, Georgia, at the Army Hospital in Fort Benning, Georgia, and I was in the medical care hospital for 9 months before I went back to regular duty. They were calling it the 57 come forward and knock out the machine gun nest, and I didn't have any ammo. Because then I called for the Myers, one of the ammo bears. He rolled me over 2 rounds of ammo, and I crawled on up and knocked the machine gun out of a bunker. They were in the bunker. We knocked the bunker out, and there's about 3 or 4 Chinese run out of the bunker because I shot a white phosphorus shield the first time to make sure you're hitting right in the bunker. And they run out, when those Chinese run out of that bunker, they were taken down with the boys with the rifles, you see. Then that's when the night is when I got hit. About 2 days before we pushed out to take the next objective, we had taken this hill, and they had trenches dug on top, and they were a sniper firing off of a mountain about between 1,500 to 1,600 yards away, and I know a couple of our boys got hit, and Captain McGarry, the company commander, told them to stay in the trenches, don't get out and expose yourself to that machine gunner over across the hill. And so Captain McGarry would take this field glasses, and I taken the telescope sight off my recordless rifle, and we found when he fired, we found where he's firing from. So we put in a WP round. I had my 57 mounted on a heavy 30 tripod, And the first round I fired about 4 or 5 yards below the hole. And the next round with high explosives, it went right in the hole. We didn't have no more firing out of that hole at our boys. So I know one thing, that 57 quarters rifle, if you put it on, whatever you aimed it at, it was true. The machine gun they were firing at firing at us with was a 51 caliber. And they had got they could use our 50 caliber machine gun ammunition in their 51 caliber. And that's what they were firing at us at, because you could tell by the sound of it when those 50 caliber machine gun bullets come across the hill. What made it, we couldn't use their ammo, but they could use our ammo. Kind of made it aggravating. I know after I got hit, I was over at 141st General Hospital, and you get to thinking about, you got hit, but you still had your buddies that you thought of, you loved, because they fighting right side of you all the time. And I thought about that a lot, how they were still in that darn trouble we was in over there. But I didn't feel good about it. I didn't want to get hit like nobody else. Didn't want to leave and I wasn't able to go back to my company. I went back if I wasn't being so sincerely wounded. But I was too sincerely wounded to go back, because I know I stayed in the hospital 9 months. But talking with I'm being wounded. I was wounded pretty bad. What made me feel so bad, you see somebody right next to you was worse off than you were. I know when you see a fellow with a leg blown plumb off, and somebody with an arm blown off, but I still have all of my body parts. But some of those boys didn't have all their body parts, and that was rough on them, and I knew it.